One of my favorite people are coming on today. This is the first time we're actually going to have a speaker, like a guest speaker on the show. Like, have you ever stumbled across someone and just thought, oh shit, like this bitch might actually get me? When you find like a person or two, or maybe you actually have like a whole crew and you're super fortunate where you can actually just be you, like be yourself while you're talking to them instead of like worrying about everything that's coming out of your mouth. Well, that's what happened when I bought my friend Sam. What I mean by bought is I actually hired a social media manager. And then it turned out she was even cooler to talk to in person and text, and we super connected. And now I just can't get enough of this glitter business bestie. So I want to welcome Samantha Parker today to the podcast. So on this episode of the Sorority with your host here, Jessica Mystic, we're going to talk about showing up and just owning our main character energy in 2024. Here she is. Welcome, Sam, to the Sorority with Jessica Mystic. And Samantha Parker here has been my content team for a little while now, and she's incredible. She's amazing. And now she's my new business bestie. So I've invited her to the podcast, and we're going to just have a chill, chatty conversation, see which way it goes, because we tend to go all kinds of directions.
Well, I can't wait. I'm here for the ride. I'm buckled up.
Okay, let's do this. So I was thinking we could chat a little bit more about, like, we're only a couple weeks into this year and everyone puts so much pressure on, like, what are you going this year? What are you doing this year? And I find that so much for me personally has shifted in my businesses and what I've been doing and personally how I want to show up. I'm curious on where you're at, where you're going, and how you've been kind of moving through that. What's the mindful process you've been working through and what are you doing?
Well, okay, so I find this super interesting because in December, I was like, okay, I know my goals for next year, or at least the first 90 days of 2023, which I think they call that Q1, but that's like boring as fuck, right? I just am always like the next 90 days, like what are with these quarters? If I had to judge my success by a quarter, I would be screwed. But I had it all figured out. I had it all mapped out. Like I can even show you, like I have this planner sitting on my desk and I was like, okay, so I'll do this here and then I'll do this here and I'll do this here. So I got started, right? I'm on track. Technically, I'm still on track. And then I had a mental breakdown. And I just thought it was super interesting. I was like, why am I having this mental breakdown? And it really occurred to me because a lot of the stuff that I was like gonna put my eggs in that basket, for lack of a better term, really didn't align with me at all and wasn't anything I actually wanted to do. But I just knew from working on the online world that it's like, this is how you set up, this is how you structure, this is what you do next. But like, I don't want any of that. So there I am.
Yeah, I find for me, we get kind of caught up in like where I want to go, like, okay, I need to hit this goal. And I discovered for me, it was like, well, why do I need to hit that goal? And then you realize, is it because I feel like I should? Or do I actually want to do that? What is it about that? Like when I had especially monetary goals, it's like, well, I want to make this much next year. I went from wanting to hit six figures, okay, I want to hit a quarter mil. I want to hit a half mil. And it's like, well, why though? What does that actually mean for me? And how do I want to do that? I can hustle and grind and make a fuck ton of money. I don't want to do that. And originally it was like, okay, I want to try and still work with clients. I want to try, like in the school, I wanted to still be taking like service clients and doing all the stuff. And then I realized, no, I don't want to do all the things anymore though. And I had to really come to terms with I'm still able to make more by being less present in certain areas and putting my trust in other people, hiring employees. And that was all something I was celebrating in December and was like, oh shit, it's happening, it's happening. And then all of a sudden it happened. And I'm like, okay, now I have a team of 4 people that I'm leading. And then it's like, well, what the fuck am I doing with myself? Like, and it's almost like things were getting good and I crossed things off. And then I felt really lost and like I had a mental breakdown. And I was like, what am I even doing? Why am I even here? I'm addicted to work. I remember messaging you on weekends multiple times and just being like, I'm trying to get this. And I'm on, you're like, this is a sign from the universe that you should just fucking stop, right? I'm like, oh, I know, but I wasn't listening to myself. And I think I really needed that rude awakening on like, I get to have it all. I get to show up the way I want to. I get to work. Well, I say I get to work when I want to, but do you feel like sometimes that's kind of a lie though? Like sometimes we have to put a little extra hustle in when we want something to happen, but we get to choose when we want to do that.
Yeah, so time freedom is a super interesting concept because it kind of exists, but it also doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So people are like, do what you want when you want. It's 100 million% different than a corporate job, right? Where I have to like be there at 9, or even I've never actually worked in corporate. Well, I mean, I guess I have. I worked in a hospital for a long time, but
That's corporate.
that's not like corporate officey, like,
No, professional
Um,
tire.
yeah, but it's like you have to show up for your shift and you have to do these specific things. Like, I can't be like, oh, I don't feel good today. I'm going to move these appointments around. No, you have to be there, like, so time freedom is an interesting concept, but also like if I didn't put in the work and I didn't do the things, I wouldn't have what I have. And so many people are like, I want to work less and, blah, 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 blah. But you actually have to put in the time. I don't care who you are. You have to have done the time to get there. Like
Well,
I
you
had
have,
to
yeah.
show up to everything possible and network a ton to get to where I am?
Yeah, and I think whenever you have a new project or you're doing something new, it will work for you, but there's times where, like we have to learn something or we have to find someone to help us with something or we have to show up and figure it out. And there's a lot of fuck around and find out that happens. I don't care how far you are in business, you're always going to be fucking around to find out in some aspect. Like there's no way you're going to know everything. So there's always going to be time that we put in and then you're like, "Oh, that didn't work out or that was a waste of time. Okay, I should do this differently." And I think it should be more like free, like time flexibility would be a better term than time freedom.
Yes, it's time flexibility. That's exactly what it is. Like today, I was like, oh, I don't have calls till 11. I don't have a lot of tasks to do today. Like there just isn't a lot like on my docket for the day. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the gym after I take my son to school instead of like getting up at 5, because some days I will
Mhm.
get up at 5 to make sure I get like my workout in and stuff. But it's like that's a flexibility choice that I get. My husband doesn't get that choice. Like he has to leave for work every day at 6:30.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've kind of sometimes forget what it's like. Like I know we talk about like we especially for marketing to ideal clients and like you want freedom and it's like no, you want to be able to not have to ask permission to live your life. You don't have to ask permission to go like I don't want to ask permission to go on a field trip with my kids. If I get a field trip slip and I have it's like a client or something, it's like, okay, I have to move you because I prioritize my family over this. But if someone's like, hey, you have a health inspection, you have to be there. I might be like, no, like I would have to make it work and figure it out, or have
Yeah.
now staff that could go and be present and stuff. But there's always something we have to put in. It's never just, there's a lot of like that falsity between it will just work for me. It's like you have to make it work for you. You have to actually plan it. Just like when I submit content to you, for example, and then I went into my cocoon and I didn't submit anything for a while, and you guys held it together. I wasn't showing up and I wasn't being accountable and things weren't performing well, but I'm not going to turn around and blame you because I didn't show up that way. I knew that if I didn't, it was going to happen, but I chose to go into my hole and that's okay. Then I got to come back up.
No, I
But
actually love where you're going with this because I do get a lot of clients who are like, my content isn't performing or my TikToks suck. And I'm like, you haven't sent us any new video content, like of you talking. You haven't done any of the things for like months. Like, what do you mean? So it's like you have to take accountability for your own business as well. So when you hire people like a social media manager, you hire like an assistant or whatever, like you're still driving the ship. So that's where like you have flexibility of time, but you still have to like actually get up and like man where shit is going.
especially like if you're doing face to camera, you have to have your face on camera. Like you have to talk to the phone and send that shit in. Like that's how that works. And I deal with clients who do the same thing. You're like, oh, well, I was trying to find an idea and I was scrolling. And I'm just like, okay, so in the hour you were scrolling, trying to find something to lip sync, why didn't you just talk about what was on your mind that you were trying to match so desperately to an audio? Like, why didn't you just say it?
Well, do you want
Like,
to talk about trends? Since this is a sorority and sorority sisters, I think like move all over the place.
yeah, we definitely should.
Okay, so I have a whole notes on this because I'm going to be filming like an in-person video about this. Okay, so there's a lot going on in social media right now, and as a social media manager, I know that like 2024, people are still trying to like scroll and they're still trying to find those trends. And even you'll send me like a piece of content that I did, and you're like, "Well, I want one of these," and I'm like, "Okay." But I think that if you guys will all take a step back and you'll start stepping into more authentic, like content where you're generating like your own ideas and you're actually just like sharing what you want to share with the world, you'll see a huge, huge shift in your content and the way it performs. You're not going to get that instant like validation, right? That like a trend might have gotten you, but you are going to end up being like the leader in your space and you're going to end up standing out. So I think that you have to like stop scrolling, period. You have to pay attention to what you want to share and you have to get really quiet and you have to actually trust yourself.
That is something that I have needed to hear over and over again. And it didn't actually start really hitting. It started to hit differently in the last like 2 months because I like to doom scroll because I like to get a shame hit and just be like, what am I not doing? And what am I not getting?
You should only be scrolling for entertainment purposes, right? Like
If
last
it's
night I
not
was like,
fun,
yeah,
yeah,
no, it should only be for entertainment. Like last night I was like asking my husband, I was like, hey, do you want to watch this show? Because I had like an hour before bed, right? I love like watching a show. And then I was like, I actually just want to sit here and scroll TikTok because I was like watching some really funny videos? So I like did that.
exactly. I totally do that. It's like, actually, I'm really enjoying watching this person make, she was like making this flax face gel mask thing, but the whole process, I was like, this is interesting. I
Yeah.
like how-to shit. So when I'm watching people do random how-to shit, I just like fact bank and it's like, oh, this is cool. I do think it's interesting though, when we're talking about trends and TikTok, that people get so swept away in trying to understand, like getting ahead of it, like getting ahead of the next wave. And I think it's really important when you're talking about being able to trust yourself and show up in what you want to do. I find that too often I second guess every single thing I do as soon as I watch one other person's thing. It's no different from like tattooing and learning a new skill. If I did a tattoo, I would zoom in, pick it apart, look at another artist's work, be like, why can't I be as good as them? And I think this is the year where I really wanted to scale back. And we've had these conversations. Like I've stripped things down. Like I grew really fast. And now I'm like scaling back and I'm sitting with myself and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this and see how it rolls out. Like just playing with shit week to week. I'm kind of breaking the rules and the systems that I did have set up that got me here, which is terrifying, but I want to play with it and I want to try it because that's how I'm going to find out what I want to say and what I want to do and how I want to show up. I kind of get lazy, right? I get used to like people, I don't know, I get used to certain people or conversations and then I'm like, okay, they know. And I think that's something important to talk about. Like when you mentioned when you hire somebody, it's like you're still running the ship. We kind of get lazy. It's like, oh, they've got it handled. They've got it handled. And it's like, no, I still need to know what is it that I want? What is it? What is my next phase? What is it I want to be known for? What is it that I'm saying now? Like especially going into like the speaking role and devising speeches and wanting to go on stage and do all of that. Like that's a whole other fucking realm. It's like, why though? Why do I want to do that? What is my message? And it's like I've gone back. It feels like you circle back to square one. And it's kind of like that beginning of the year, everyone does the resolutions, but for me, it's like revisiting. It's like, what do I want? What do I want? And that sometimes I don't fucking know, man.
I,
Like,
I know. I think part of my like whole mental breakdown that I had, well, actually, I did get triggered by something. So it was like a PTSD response to something really bad that happened to me. So it was like part of that. But I also think it was the universe being like, well, you don't even really want this. Have you sat down and like had a chat with yourself lately? You know? So that's why I think like putting out goals and putting out resolutions, I think it's awesome. I think we should do it all the time, but you just like you get to change your mind. Like you could be like 1 month into something and be like, I don't want to do this. And so many people are like, no, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. And I'm like, if you know in the fucking like bottom of and you're self-aware and you feel it, like just don't do it. Like who cares? No one else is in charge of your life.
guess what? You get to change your mind as many fucking times as you want. You can change your mind and then change it back. You can be
Yeah.
like, well, shit. Like, and I think it's scary. I'm forcing myself to do shit that like I have parts of me that are screaming like, don't. You're gonna make it, it's gonna be hard if you do that. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna try it. We'll see what happens because we can always go back and pick up where we left off before. If something's not working, you can always go back. You
Yeah.
can't get time back, but you still have a lesson learned. You're still moving forward with something else. And I think too many people are focused on what they're losing. I'm wasting time. I wasted money. It's all learning. You're never wasting anything as long as you're taking a lesson, getting a lesson from it. I think that's something we need to remind ourselves. What am I learning from this? Even in a breakdown. Like I was full meltdown mode, and unfortunately happened the same day my husband had a meltdown. And usually we balance each other out and we were both just like fucked. So it was like a horrible day. It was awful. But we realized what came out of it when we had a conversation later was the way we both have our own businesses. And I've been putting so much dedication and devotion into growing those businesses and finding my voice there that like there's systems and structures at home that weren't in place. Like we weren't taking care of ourselves. We aren't going to the gym. We weren't taking care of our physical bodies. We weren't meal prepping and we're kind of scrambling, throwing makeshift shitty dinners together. At least the kids are fed, then we would snack, like things like this. Our energy management at home and how we're operating as individuals was not being held to the same standard. So it's like, okay, reevaluate, get your shit together, apply yourself in all areas of your life. Like I was neglecting at home and pouring way too much into my clients and my team and my people and my online stuff and not my actual physical body.
Well, and then I don't know, like, I can only speak for myself as a woman. I was like, I don't know if men do this too, but like, why does our whole identity become like our business? And why does like our whole self-worth and everything just revolve around the business?
For me, I think it's because it's our outlet. Because for me, with two young kids at home and having a home, there's all those different like frequencies we operate at. Like when I'm mom, I am taking care of them, I'm showing up for them, and it's a no matter what, like I don't have an option. I chose to have these children, I'm fucking taking care of them, and I'm making sure that I give them everything I can. So it's kind of a form of escapism because having my business, I get to show up however the fuck I want and I get to prove that I can make money doing it, which feeds my ego a little bit. So I got to work on that sometimes. But it's kind of this like, for me, it's creative. So it's something I can pour myself into. And there's always, it's a game. We're always creating and finding ways that we can make money or explore different options or make different connections and make a different impact. But I obsess over it. Like it's an obsession and it's a hyperfixation. And then when things aren't working or I'm doing shit I don't want to, it becomes a job and then I break. So it's always finding that balance of what's feeding the excitement to keep it moving while still being like responsible human to a human, like making sure my family's fed and doing all those things. But our identity, I think, becomes melded because we don't get to be who we are because we're mom or we're the wife or we're like we don't put our that's what it is. We're not really being ourselves in at home in those roles, so we're seeking another way to do it. But then it's just another version of ourselves. It's still
Yeah.
not who we are. We still haven't taken the time to be like, who the fuck am I? What am I doing? I think that's where maybe there's a lack. We need to be able to do that.
No, I love what you're saying. I think one thing for me is I've got to get out of my house.
Yeah,
I need to go and be like boss Sam, and then I need to just come home and be like Sam.
I could see that, like having that separation.
After this long, like 8 years, and right off the bat, I was like, oh, working from home is not, everyone's like, it's the dream. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it's not.
I like having a place to go to work too. So I think for me, that's one of the struggles. Like I have this office and this is my creation space. And this is where I do like coaching with my clients and then obviously
Yeah.
film and
No, I
stuff
still,
like
I
that.
still want to be able to sit at a desk if I don't want to go anywhere that day, you
But
know?
I'm not disciplined enough to like work from home. I have times to be in this room and like this room is where I do a lot of reflection. It's just my space in the house. It's got my shit in it. Like it's just because the house is owned by the family. It's everybody's space. This is
Yeah.
my space. And my husband has the games room downstairs. So I just having I call them sacred spaces. Like I need a sacred space to be myself. But a lot of people say like work out at home because I always bitch like, oh, I need to work, I need to move, I need to go to yoga, I need to do this stuff. And like, we'll just do it at home. Like I don't work out at home. I don't have
No,
the space for it.
yeah.
I have to be out of my head. Like in order for me to be present, I need to be present in that environment. And I can't do that from here.
Yeah, no, I can work out at home, but my main source is like I need to go to the gym. I need to go somewhere.
Yeah. Like I need to be out. I get squirrely.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just sit here and
well, that's
future
what I'm
trip.
saying. It's like almost like you used to just come home and be like with your family, and now it's like the fucking everything. It's like a fucking tornado swirl of all the energies. There's no boxes.
Right. And that's one thing this year. I remember that post you made where you're just like, I'm leaving my phone. And it's so true. Now I'm taking my watch off and leaving it on the charger with my phone because even
Oh,
when
I can't
that,
do the Apple Watches. I can't. You know how many I bought too? Because I was like, oh, I could do this. Three. I bought them three. And I'm like, why would I want that all the time? I don't understand them. I don't know. Even my husband, and he's like, we don't have the same anxiety because I'm just looking at like texts from you, not like someone who's like, my TikTok, you know?
See, I think that's the difference for me. And it's like, I don't have, a lot of people don't have my number for that reason, because if it's messaging through Instagram or Facebook or whatever platform, it doesn't come to my watch. The
Yeah.
only thing that comes to my watch are text calls and then like the business calls, because I'm monitoring it right now. That's going to change. But that way, if it comes through, then I know it's someone who needs to get a hold of me. So that's how I like manage the anxiety of not having my phone on me. And I always have this fear is that something medically is just going to happen to me. I'm going to collapse or something bad's going to happen because I'm working through that. So if I do fall, I have fall detection and I can hold the button and like my emergency contacts are notified. So it's like my little security blanket. Or if I'm
That's
having an
epic.
episode and I have
Yeah.
it does happen, like I black out in the bathroom when I have really bad episodes and I get really sick and I'll just be like, I'll voice text someone and be like, I'm going down, like phone
Yeah.
me or check on me.
Okay, but that's different. That's different, you
Right.
know?
So that's what mine's for. But when it comes to like business stuff, I couldn't imagine for you people texting for that shit all the time. That would drive me nuts. There's no way. And
And
timers. I need it for timers. Like I need Siri to tell me to like fucking switch tasks.
yeah, no, I think that's awesome. But yeah, like for me, I'm just like, no, thank you, you know?
Yeah, just like I don't want to. I find it like I at least have to have 1 or 2 nights a week where I don't sleep with it on though, because I feel like it's a different kind of sleep.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I don't sleep the same when I'm wearing it. And I
I put
went through
my
until
phone, yeah, I put my phone like on the floor.
oh, my phone's in the kitchen. I don't bring it in the bedroom anymore. I feel like I don't know, it's like the waves. I just yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be on the floor. Okay, you know what I started doing at night? Because I kept waking up with a really sore throat. I think I've picked up like a snoring habit, you know, as we get older.
That's so
I kept waking up with like a really sore throat and just your mouth is crusty and like everything would hurt when I would
yeah.
wake up. You know what I'm talking about? So I bought the mouth tape and I've been trying to sleep with mouth tape, but at some point every night I take it off. And I'm like, fuck, I don't even know I've taken it off.
This is hilarious that you're talking about this because I literally mentioned to my husband last night because I was bitching about my masseters and how I want to Botox them because I've had such bad migraines. My teeth are aching. So I was like, I might try
It,
mouth taping.
it stopped my jaw clenching too.
That's what I'm wondering. I have two very expensive
Like
fucking
the
jaw.
bite guards, yeah.
Yeah, those things, the night guards. I have one top one and I have one that's a bottom one, but at night I'm spitting them out. So that doesn't work.
See, so yeah, halfway through the night at some point, I'm taking the tape off. The other day I woke up and it was stuck to my palm. Like I had just like,
Like, no. And
yeah. So when I go to sleep, you have to go to sleep really calm with them though. If you need some tips, like you have to be super calm. And because at some point I'll be like, I can't breathe. And I'm like, you can breathe perfectly fine. In fact, you're breathing quite well.
isn't that weird? Like that was my fear too. I'm like, what if I can't breathe? It's like when I
And
had my lips
you
filled.
can actually breathe through the tape, like if you part your lips.
But isn't that crazy how our brain's like, you're trapped, you're suffocating,
Yeah,
you're not
you're gonna
okay.
die. You're gonna die.
Yeah, this is it. You shouldn't be doing this. Your face will look
I feel like
smashed, but
eventually I'm gonna get it.
I felt like that when I had my lip filler done because when they numbed it, I was like so numb. Like I was numb all the way up my like I couldn't even tell I had a nose anymore. And I was laying there and I'm like, I can't breathe, I can't feel my nose. I'm like, can I still breathe? And I'm like, wait, breathing comes from our lungs. We'll be fine. But yeah, I'm just like, my face is fucked, I can't breathe.
You got, I think everyone should try the mouth tape. I'm just like looking for a tip. I'm like, does anyone have pointers? Like, how do you make it through the night?
Just tape it, like just make a strand of them so you can't
Well,
rip
the
it.
one I got, it's called hostage tape, which is just kind of wrong, but they're just
Yeah.
like little black, you know? And it's very sticky, but it's also kind of that like stretchy, like almost what they wrap your IVs with,
Oh yeah.
you
Like
know,
the
but
Sanoderm
it
shit.
is super sticky and you just like put it over your lips. It's supposed to also make you snatch somehow, but I don't get it.
Probably because you're not like
Yeah.
stretching it. I don't know, depends on how I don't know how I snore.
I'm also a side sleeper, so I'm like, why? Yeah, it's weird.
I'm a side sleeper too, but I've been trying to sleep more like a corpse. Just like
Yeah,
my
but
new king size bed. It's so comfortable. Oh my God. It's like I don't know, it's like all foam. Like I'm sleeping in space.
we've always had a king size bed, but normally I'm like very like we lay next to each other and go to sleep, and at some point in the night like we move apart, you know. But lately I've been like making like a little pillow, like a blanket for in between us. So, like he hasn't said anything, but I don't know. Lately I've just been like, I just gotta do me. I gotta do me, man.
I just need, I just need this, the space for a minute.
Oh, please, for the love of God, don't touch me.
I feel bad because my poor husband, it's like, I do want to cuddle you, but my son, he's only 3 and he's still a koala. So when I do get to sleep in my bed, I'm just like, nobody fucking touch me. Like this
Yeah.
is, I get to, I get to sleep. This is my sleep space. It's your dance space. This is my dance space, and I'm sleeping. Like, and I think that's really, now that we're talking about this, I think that's really what's happened like with this year. And that's why we probably had our meltdowns, is there a lot of, we haven't had our own space. Because like you take care of a lot of people. I think
Yeah,
you have a team that takes care of a lot of people, and your job's very demanding.
it
Even though
is.
you own your own shit and you get to like have your time flexibility, your job is demanding, and you're dealing with the insecurities of other people. Like there's so much pressure in like content and how we show up online because everything's online. I would imagine that you're carrying a lot of that for people.
Yes, and a lot of times they are throwing shit back on me. But I have actually learned to, I think it takes a really strong person to be a social media manager, honestly. But I have learned to really look at my own reactions because I can control my reaction, so I don't have to put energy into it, right?
Hmm.
So yesterday you did text me and you're like, my TikTok is frozen. And I was in the middle of making dinner. And normally I would have gone into complete panic, started messaging everyone, been like, we must
Oh
fix this
no.
immediately. Yeah, no. So do you know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
was like, I have to finish making dinner. Like, I'm so sorry, Jessica. So like I came back and I answered like a bulk of messages, you know? But
Oh,
I
I
was like,
didn't want you to answer right away. It
no,
was
no,
more
I
of
know
a,
you didn't, but it's my reaction to it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
because I do
I
it
was,
too.
yeah, because I was like, hey, Cece, tomorrow, and I wasn't even like, do this right now because it's 8:30 at night. I just was like, tomorrow, will you double post because hers is frozen? And TikTok just does that from time to time. Like,
Yeah. Also, I like thing for me is it's something like I was on there and I'm just like, oh, is it my phone? Because I also get really ragey with tech and I'm impatient. So I'm like, it's not loading. So I was just like, is it frozen or is it me?
well, and then a lot of
Like,
times, yeah, and a lot of times people are like blaming me for the like glitches of the platform, you know? God, I was in Mexico and this company that I'm no longer working with sent me like the nastiest message that I didn't even care about their brand or their business. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? Like, why wouldn't I care about you? And they're like, this reel is posted and you didn't even put the cover on it. Your team just throws shit up. And I was like, so I went into the scheduler and the cover was there. It just like didn't stick in Instagram. So like this is some of the stuff that like people I'm like, please be nice to me, you know?
I'm a human being and I'm also on vacation. And like, I think people need to understand, yeah, social media, it's important. It's free advertising. It's how you advertise your
Yeah.
business and how you create like brand awareness. But your business isn't going to fucking die because you didn't post that day. Your business isn't going to die because you fucked up the text. You know how many typos I've had? You can tell like which ones you've posted and which ones I've posted because there's always a typo if I did it.
Well, and I mean, typos are just going to happen in general, anyways, because you're putting out so much content. But it's like, you also have to realize, like, I don't build Instagram. Like, I have nothing to
No,
do with them.
we're just working with it, man. And that shit changes all the fucking time.
Mhm.
Like right now, I'm training the ladies because they have their own accounts through the school for the service ladies to build for their services. So I'm like, okay, so they don't know anything about social media. So it's like, okay, here's a content board so everyone knows what services they're focusing on. Like what kind of things you can put out. And I have like all the lists for them and like trying to train them on like basic content. And one of my ladies she's like, I don't understand social media. Like I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm like, you don't need to be a social media manager. You just need to put out a couple posts so people know what the fuck you're doing and collaborate it to my main page. Like just show you working. Show before, like just something. Say hello. Post a picture of yourself. Like just something, just to get him in the habit. And I can see like how crippling it is for her because she's so scared, like she's gonna fuck it up or she's not gonna do it right. And I'm like, this doesn't. I'm just put some stuff out. People gotta find you, so you can
Yeah.
send them. Be like, oh, here's what I do. That's all it is. Like we're just creating a little portfolio right now. No stress out. Like the main page is the main, they all feed each other. But you know what I mean? Just like starting out, the stress is there. And I think people put too much weight on that and then pass it down where it's this isn't everything's fucked. It's like, no, it's just let's learn it. The algorithm changes all the time.
Well, and that's why I think if you circle back, right? So what I was saying
Hmm.
is just stop scrolling,
Yep.
just put out the content. I can't even tell you how many days I get like a text from someone who's like they were just watching some experts video and they were like, it says we have to keyword stuff. And I was like, for the love of God, please do not keyword stuff. You know? And they're like,
Yeah.
this is why I'm not viral. And I'm like,
It's like, no, there's more to it than that. Like, and there's so much more to going viral than just strategy and stats. Like you
like, could
have,
you imagine you're like, all you have to do is keyword stuff and you're viral. We'd all be viral.
yeah, right? Like, and I think, why is everyone so fixated on being viral? Like when I considered viral like hitting like over 10 grand and will rip me apart. That's not viral. I'm like, for me, that is. Because when I hit that 10 grand, like 10K on the views or whatever, and that's probably over like, I don't know what it's at now. Remember? And I had all those hate messages and comments.
You were way more than
Like,
10K. You're like over 100,000 views
oh,
and
well,
you
there you
had
go.
like 500, 600 comments, didn't you?
Okay, so I was a lot bigger. I'm really bad. But this is
I mean,
why
I don't
like
know. We'd have to go back and look. I don't know.
we would have to look. But like it blew up and it created a lot of conversation. But people are accusing me of like you're trying to like bait people. And I'm just like, it was just and like if you watch the damn thing, it was just my opinion.
Well, you
It
know
was
what's funny is what you were saying in the video was exactly how the people were reacting to. You were saying that men in the tattoo industry are kind of nasty to women. So what did they do? They
and then
turned
they
around
all got mad.
super nasty to you, super nasty to you. Not just mad, but it wasn't even like a learning moment, like of like, hey, maybe we could do better to the women in this industry. It was a
Go
fuck you.
fucking kill yourself.
Yeah, it
Like,
was go fuck
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was insane. But what's really strange about it is like everyone really reacted, I think, because I was talking about masculine, feminine energy. And what's funny is how everyone jumped down my throats and like, I'm man hating. And I was like, what? Like, I literally just spoke on a personal experience. I don't hate men. I'm married to one. He's
I know. I
fucking
was like, I love men. I love dick, but I know how it feels to be treated as a woman in business. I live in a very Republican, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Republicans. Well, you're in Canada, I don't know. But anyways, I'm like, I voted Republican, like whatever. Okay. Like, but there's a very level of like conservatism in like where I live in conservative Utah. Utah's just generally conservative, and I live in a smaller town in Utah. So
Alberta's
far,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, we like our guns. But it is, I have had to constantly defend myself. And I don't even want to be in that energy. I've even tried for a couple of years to be like, oh no, that's not like everything's fine. It's very equal. And it's not like I'm constantly having to defend myself as a woman in business.
Well, even when we first started working together, I was targeting like tattoo artists because I wanted to like speak to the ones that wanted to get out of that and who were getting put through apprenticeships where they're sexually, verbally abused and like basically told to just fucking be shot bitch, make nothing and earn your way and be owned by them. And like the industry has changed and it's not everywhere, but it still happens. It does still happen. There are still people out there that experience this, and it is wrong. And I wanted to speak to that. But unfortunately, by targeting the tattoo industry, I was really only attracting more of that. And I didn't want to sit in the energy of defending myself over and over and over again. And that reel is what made me realize okay, recalibrate. We're only going to speak to PMU and beauty business because honestly, the artists that are ready to leave that environment are already looking at this shit. So, like, what is the lesson we learned from that? Again, we have to ask ourselves these questions. When this shit happens, whether we're being attacked or we feel attacked or we get triggered, because like we have fucking trauma. I think almost every human being has trauma in some regard, and some of us have a lot more than others in different areas. And when we are triggered, I think it's important to understand why and what's the lesson we're repeating. What are we not doing? What are we not changing? Well, I'm still trying to make those fuckers happy and like me and respect me. They don't. Move on. Just go over here. Who are you talking to? How does
Yeah.
that serve? It doesn't serve me to keep talking to the tattoo world. I left it. I retired. I don't operate in that culture. It's a part of my history. It's a part of what got me here and where I am, but I never really fit in, ironically. I know I'm amazing, but like I didn't fit
So it's
in.
just like it was just a reminder for you, or it's like
Yeah.
almost like a little nudge, right? But I also see it as like a please keep standing up for the people who need you.
Well, and you went through like a culling of your clients that you went through recently where it was just like, fuck, I'm not here for this. I remember you messaging me and you're like, fucking done. I'm fucking done today.
Dude,
Like,
it was wild. One person was like, "We need a man to do our content." And I was like, "Well, this video that I made has 1.1 million views. Like what?"
when does a dick make the difference on view? Well, like, that's it.
And then I was like, plus my videographer is a man. That was one of those where I was like in here and I was ready to smash my Mac with like a baseball bat, you know?
Yeah. You're just like, what?
Yeah. And then I'm like, why would I want this? I was like, goodbye, you know, like just
Yeah.
go. Like
Well, I know, and I still catch myself falling into that sometimes. Like, I'm the boss of my businesses. I'm leading my shit. I own my empires. I decide who I hire and fire, yet I'm still like, oh my God, I still want everyone to like me and make everyone happy. Like, why do I do that? But that comes from the story of never belonging. And it's like, but do I need to? Do we like we all
Yeah.
inherently
I
belong
just
here.
always try to do my best job. And like, if we didn't do our best job, I'd be like, okay, like I see that, someone might be better for you. I learned where we could have done better.
Yep.
And I'm always like that. I'm like, yes. But it's like, oh, I got an email that was like telling me I was a horrible person. And I'm all, this is wild. I am in the wild, wild west. But I also needed the reminder too that like I was getting emails, texts, we're on calls, like I could like this is the best we've ever seen, like thank you so much. So you just have to be like goodbye, but it's hard. It does hurt. It does fucking hurt.
Well,
It's like
you're
if
fucking
you're
incredible.
married and your husband was like, that was the best sex of my life, and then the next day he's like, I hate you.
You're like,
Like it would
oh,
hurt. It would hurt.
I can understand that. I mean, I think for me, because you know that I'm scaling back a bit. Obviously, you already know this, but scaling back again, this was more of a like, what am I doing? What am I finding? Is it something I'm trying to train these ladies on? And then it's like, okay, well, let's find the voice. What do I want? Recalibrate. But it's like, I think people too, like I remember when I was messaging you and working through it, and I'm like, well, if I message her that, she's just gonna fire me. She's never gonna work with me again. And it's like, well, that's not true. If I'm scaling back, I can come back and pick it right up where I left off. Like I still have launches coming up. I still have promos. I still have shit that I want to get done. But now it's just a matter of what's happening with these women. Where are things going? What do I want? What do I need? And I'm just recalibrating my shit, you
Yeah.
know? But I remember when I messaged you, I'm like, she's gonna fucking hate me. She's never gonna talk to me again. And if I do want her back, I'm gonna have to find someone else. I'm never gonna find anyone else. Now I'm fucked. Now I'm gonna have to do it forever, all the time, everything. And that's the spiral. And you're like, okay, no, we're taking a hiatus.
Plus,
And
I
then
think though, if that is the reaction, then you have to just be like, good for you.
yeah, it's just like, okay. And it was a rough day though, because it was so stupid. Because like you've always been just honest with me. Like you just message back, like whatever. And you did send me a message. You're like, if you end up wanting to move things in house, I won't be offended. Let me know where you're at. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know
I
if I
do
want
I
it in
do think
house.
it's slightly funny though. This is because I'm like I employ 6 people that make people's social media go out.
Right. And that's why it's like, okay, I'll let her try. Because I have a couple employees that are like, I really want to do it. And I'm like, well, let's see what you can do. But
This
I
is
for
when they're
one,
like, we have an intern who's gonna do it. And I'm
I
like,
know. I'm playing
with
is where
love,
I'm at.
Jessica, with love.
But I think for me too, it's kind of that like what isn't happening is what I know I want and how I want to show up a certain way. Because I kind of lost myself in how I wanted to come through. And like,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a little bit of like a self-sabotaging punishment thing. Like sometimes I'm just like, okay, I want to challenge myself to see what happens here. You know, like I just fuck around and find out. But at least I know I can be like, hey, you know what? Let's laugh about that. That didn't go.
God, there's been so many things where I was like, what the fuck?
Like,
God, no, I was listening to a podcast the other day though, and she said the best stuff. She was like, you're never gonna put out your best work, like ever. It's
no.
physically impossible. You're never going to. And you're gonna put out dumb shit. And why can't you just come to terms with it? And I was like, oh wow, this bitch is talking to me.
Well, I feel like that's what led me to kind of like scale back for now and just be like, I want to prove to them because I keep telling them it doesn't matter, don't stress. And I'm like, okay, well, they're like, well, you have a team. And I'm like, fine, I'll show you. I'll show you that you can do it. We can scale back and I can pick up right where I left off and I can go farther. It's like, I'll fucking prove it. It's kind of that I do weird shit like that. It's like, fine, I'll fucking prove it to you. Fuck.
Is this like I get actually really motivated by like weird shit where people are like, well, that's not sustainable. And I'm all hold my beer, you dumb bitch. Like
That's kind of what happened. And then it's just like, okay, we'll do it. I'll let you guys go for it. But like, I think people get caught up in like, because I've had someone say, well, how much are you going to save? And I'm like, I'm not saving because now I'm going to have to do a little more, right? I have to do more. I have to train them, see what's being held, what's not being held, and then re-strategize and then go back to you and be like, okay, we're handling this. Because I'm probably going to have, instead of having both accounts, I'll pass off the one, but come back and give you the other one. I don't want to manage it. I don't want to manage it. And I think people need to get honest with their time. Like, why would I like content is a job. People feel like it's a burden. It is a job because it's a form of creation you feel forced to do and to show up. But if I have you guys, I just tap in and be like, here's where I'm going, here's what I'm doing, give you some things, it all magically unfolds. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
Like that time saved is worth a lot more than I could ever pay you. For me, it's just messy because I've got these new peeps and I'm like, okay, I'm talking to too many people. 30 days of scale this shit back and
I mean,
refigure.
honestly, it's the same thing I just did with my podcast where I was like, hold up, we just need to do a full hard scale stop.
Yeah, reset.
Yeah.
Hard fucking reset.
Because no one's listening to me. I keep saying the same things over and over again, and then I just keep nodding my head and moving forward, right? And I was like, full scale stop. But look,
Oh,
have you seen the rebrand is like sexy on its own?
oh, I'm so jealous. Like I'm gonna have to, yeah, like that's
Well,
oh,
I've never even paid like anyone to actually brand me because it's really easy to create a brand for yourself, you
it
know?
is. Yep.
And then I was like, I don't know, let's like fuck around and see what happens. And it like it's actually really good. I wanted it and my website too. Like I wanted my website to like be a reflection of me. And I feel like it's like spot on.
Yeah. When I clicked on it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Sam. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Mine
I wanted
definitely
it
is
to
still a bit too
show
proper.
I wanted it to show me working too, you know? So like when people go, that was my main goal of the page was just like stupid fun, stupid Sam. And then like, oh, like you can see that she actually does this.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm so jealous because my designer, when I hired for the rebrand last year, did a great job. But now I'm growing so much more into like, I am an artist at heart. I am here for the creatives and like my
Your
shit's not creative enough. It's
your
too,
branding's really good though. Your
it
branding's
is
really
really
good.
good. But I want
Yeah.
to like revamp the coaching side and like the speaking side and like, I just got to make it a little more whack, you
But
know? Like
I
a
think I
little
went full scale whack, but you know, I had to have someone who could go full scale whack. Like even 6 months ago, if I would have been like, hey, I want to go full scale whack, I hadn't met the girl that could do that yet. So everything is timing, you know?
right? Well, now I know who I'm going to when I want to get that whack, put my whack up, get whacked up. That'd be a sticker.
Maybe I
Get
just need
whacked
someone
up.
to whack me.
Just whack me up. That could, that's probably like a
I
bad
don't
quote
know what that
somewhere.
means though. I'm like, is it like mobsters are gonna get whacked, or does that mean you're gonna get
Oh,
like
maybe. Well,
whacked?
now it's crazy. I'll figure something out. I just want to make it more
You know, the only thing my site doesn't
yawning.
do is it doesn't play like the MySpace music. Like, remember MySpace? You could put music.
Oh my gosh, MySpace. Ooh, that was a time in my life I'd rather forget.
I don't know. I mean, the time in my life was like not the best, Samantha. It was horrible. But the MySpace vibes were like, how fun was MySpace? It was like you could just build your own little website all the time.
That's exactly what it was. It's like,
Yeah. We were like learning how to code in the back end, you know?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it's like, oh, here's the cheat if you want to get this color background and this pattern. Like, oh, what?
Yeah, one time I put up one that was like, I'm picking up the pieces and moving on, and my ex like totally lost his fucking mind over it. Like it was one of those backgrounds I coded and it had puzzle pieces and it just said I'm picking up the pieces, but it didn't have anything to do with him. Like I was just like, oh, it's cool because like I felt like I was trying to pick up my life as a single mom, you know?
Well, and subconsciously, it was probably telling you something. That's probably
Yeah.
why I picked it.
He like flipped the fuck out. And then I remember another time my friends, I had a couple friends, they did something that wasn't nice at all. And they like knew it wasn't nice at all. And I took them off my top eight. And like my
I
friend Megan
forgot
was
about the
calling me,
top.
apologizing. She's like, I know you were mad at us, but like, I'm so sorry that we did that, you know?
Can you imagine if we just had like that scale all the time for people? Like even on your iPhone, you whip them out and they're just like they know whether or not they're in your top contacts.
Well, so I have people pinned, right? Like the text messages, but it has nothing to do with like they're my top person. It's just like who is constantly messaging me, you know,
I
or
mean, like
who
if
like
they got a rating, like if someone pissed you off and like their stars went down, like, oh shit.
no stars for Jessica today.
Fuck. Like, now what do I gotta do? Oh man, I don't know. I think that's probably part of the things going on in the world right now. Everyone's so concerned about like being on top, like being most visible, being most liked, being most. like everyone kind of feeds in that whole like competitive vibe. I think people just need to learn how to fucking have fun and understand that like by being yourself and by being just focus on creating who you want to be, doing whatever the fuck you want, because your gifts are what's going to make the world a better place. Your gifts and living your life and your truth and doing what everyone says aligned with you, but it's true. If you're like how you're feeling right now and vibing with like where you're going and what you're doing, you're say you're a delusional bitch, but that's only
I think I
because
use the word cunt.
oh, right, delusional cunt. So, because you're all DC in your universe, probably can't say that because it's a comic series.
Are we gonna
But
move into Marvel next?
yeah, fuck, it's marvelous. So, it's just, I think people need to just be more of that. You need to become a delusional cunt because if you can't live in this, what's the point of living if you're just gonna be fucking miserable and forced to do shit and feel like you can't do anything ever? Then what is the point?
Yeah.
Like we lose ourselves and we have outlets and we find these little moments of escape in our businesses or in creating side tasks and projects or random hyperfixations because we're bored because we're being forced to be a certain way. Like I remember thinking I had like if I was gonna be successful as an artist, I needed to be like Devil Wears Prada, work for like a fashion magazine, get a job in a fancy ass office and serve like some bitch that wears stilettos and like be worth something. But
Mhm.
like, why can't I wear sneakers and be a rich fucking bitch in my comfies?
Dude, I have on Nike sweatpants right now, and Nike sweatpants are pretty spendy.
They are pretty spendy, but they're fucking comfy,
That's what I'm saying.
right? Like we can be rich bitches that are
Like
comfy.
this feels good to me. The shirt is for people, but
I'm wearing like no name or probably like Ardeen or Blue Notes leggings, and I'm okay with that. And this is a superstore sweater today. That's what I'm rocking. But that's
I think
okay.
you have to ask yourself, like, if you wanted that, but like, what is it that you actually want? And it's a question I've had to ask myself over and over and over again. Do you see how we just tied that all back?
Yeah. Well, and what do you want? Why does it feel good? Like I like spending my money on trips and experiences. I
I
like
love
spending
going
my
on
money on
trips.
I am kind of a bougie bitch though. Like I really do I like my facials. I like
Mhm.
getting my hair done.
I like my
I like
Botox.
spending money on I like bags. Like I have
Yeah,
this
I'm not see
obsession.
bags. I don't get bags at all. I'm like, I do not understand this.
No, I mean like Betsy Johnson cutesy little designery like bag
No, but
thing.
I think even if bags are your thing, like, you love the good Louis or you love like the latest Coach purse, I'm like, that's where you have to be like, this is the life, this is the shit that I love.
If it's brightly colored, I'll want it. I don't care how much it costs. If it's brightly colored and it looks tacky, it's mine. I need to have it. I have this
Yeah.
obsession with ghetto gold chains, like the big ghetto link. Like I have a plastic purse strap. I bought at Target. It was like 15 bucks for one of my photo shoots. It looks like a giant gold chain. I said to my husband, like,
Yes.
I'm gonna have a real fucking gold chain. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, why do you have to be so ghetto fabulous? Like you're a cyberpunk ghetto fab fucking alien. Like what is wrong with you?
Mine
He's
was
like, I
like,
love it.
we hit like this cool milestone this year, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy a bag. And I was like, I don't want a bag. And we went and bought a trailer. And I was like, yeah.
Right? Like it's funny how we like the value, like it's not even talks about value, but like it's not about the money, it's about how it makes you feel.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's
that's
where
why I
it's
was like,
like,
my life isn't. I have a lot of really fun bags, but I definitely didn't go get them. It's you have to be like, what is success for me? But I think you almost have to ask yourself that every fucking day, dude.
well, it's even like Dress and Lala. Like I love that shit.
I
And I'm
love
just like,
dressing alone.
why do I want it? I'm like, because it's cool fucking shit. And I can't
Yeah,
just get it anywhere else. And I like it. I like the prints. It's got aliens, it's got magic 8 balls. Like I'm good. That's what I like.
I love Dress and Lala. I own a ton of Dress and Lala stuff, and I was doing this thing where I'm like, I buy it, but then I'm like, oh, it's only to take pictures in, right? And my friend Amy the other day
Wear it.
was like, yeah, she was like, why aren't we wearing all this stuff that we own? And so she said, like, we're meeting to film on Thursday, but sh like, she's like, you have to show up as your alter ego. She's like, you have to put on something wild that's in your closet and show up as that person. And I'm all, oh shit, dude.
Like, I have so many things. There could be so many versions of me. Well, I actually remember having a training with someone. They talked about artifacts. And because we have those different versions of ourselves. And I like to say frequencies because for example, when I'm in accounting mode or I'm doing books or finances, I'm like a different version of me. It's a different part of my brain that I'm operating
Yeah.
with. Like being in there all the time. But usually when I'm doing that, I like I have like my blue light glasses I don't wear, but I have things like I rather tie to that. Where it's like if I put these on, this is the mode I'm in. It helps me focus and fixate. And I feel that way with certain outfits. So
I just
sometimes I have to ask myself, right, look at those. Those are fucking great. But like, are we saving it because we're not like put that on? It's a vibe. Like for my pink jacket, I'm in like conference mode. Like I'm ready. This is my I can be socialite because I've got the pink blazer on. Or
Mhm.
am I putting it on because I feel like I have to put it on in order to see professional? Like there's different reasons we wear things. And I think saving something for later because you're worried about wrecking it or you're saving it because it costs a lot of money is
No,
stupid.
I'm worried about putting it on because the Dress and Lala, it's over the top, right? And anytime I wear anything from Dress and Lala, girls say stuff to me, which they're like, "Oh my God, that's so cute." It's not like you look dumb, you dumb bitch. But
Right?
I get nervous because I don't know, like people are looking at you.
You're being seen.
This is the
And
longest
sometimes
podcast episode about nothing I've ever experienced, and I'm here for it.
like I feel like I do that sometimes where I get in moods. Like I remember thinking before I started these businesses, when I was leaving tattooing, like I wanted to be anonymous. Like I would go to a grocery store and I would like regret if someone came up to me and I'd be like, I don't have makeup on, don't look at me. Like I don't look put together and I don't like don't know who I am, right? Whereas now, like I don't give a fuck what I look like, hey, and it's me showing up because I'm as myself. And I find when I'm dressed up for like photo shoot day, I think I should like make myself do that once in a while because it's like I have these really cute outfits I coordinate, but I save them for photo shoot days. And it's the
That's
same
what I'm
thing.
saying. But
Why
there's
don't
no,
I have photo shoot day Jessica and just like fuck around and go shopping at the craft store?
go to a
Like
coffee shop as
that's
your
what I
best.
want to do.
Yeah.
Like, look at me. Just be okay and be like, look at me. It's I think it's the shame of like that vanity aspect where it's like you're asking people to look at you. And for a lot of my life, if people were looking at me, I was being ridiculed or military background, like you're supposed to kind of like assimilate and not really stand
Yeah.
out. I think first I have this like constant confliction because like I do stand out, but I like hide at the same time. And it's like, no, I want to fucking feel fine and feel like, look at my shit. I have cool shit. This is what I look like.
Well,
Like I want
I can remember like in fourth grade, these girls making fun of me because I would always wear like the fun dresses with the bows. Like I had this huge bow
Mhm.
collection. And I think that's when I really started to turn it down, you know? And they were always telling me I was fat too. And I was like, I'm not fat.
I remember like not I hated pink. I would not wear pink when I
I
was
love
younger
green so
because I
much.
had blonde hair and people told me that I was trying to be like Barbie and that my face looked like it was made of Play-Doh and I was like chubby and I wasn't Barbie and I was fat Barbie and all those things and you're just like, "Oh," and then I wouldn't wear pink. I was a tomboy. Also probably because like I probably had emotional connection. Dad was always away, he was in the military, so I would like wear his shirts to school and like that's what I did for years. And then all of a sudden, when I embrace like who I am, like I am a girly girl. I am. But I don't I'm a girly girl, but I was never good at being a girly girl. I never felt like I was pretty enough or cool enough or wore the right things all the time. I never fit in, right? I was always the new kid bouncing around. So I didn't know how to be like a pretty girl. So now it's just like, well, I'll just be fucking pink and whatever makes me feel fine, I should just do that.
I love it. See? You know
We
why I
just
got rid
need
of my
to.
hot pink hair is because I got tired of people talking to me about it. I was like in the grocery store one time and this guy came up and he's like, "Why did you color your hair that color?" And I was like, "Whoa."
Like,
Yeah.
my hair's like, I don't know, it's in a transition. So I was doing super pink and now I think we're kind of
I like this baby like pastel pink.
I know I'm digging it. And like part of me was fighting because I'm like, well, I'm not pastel, but I kind of want the baby pink, but like a chunk of like, because like I'm into seasonal. So February's coming up. This podcast's probably coming out for then. If not, maybe it's past. But I want to put like a big red chunk. Like I want color blocks, like
Oh.
random
Oh.
color blocks featured. And like I'm blessed with super blonde hair, so I can kind of do whatever the fuck I want. But
Okay,
there'll
we
always
need to
be
do
pink in it
this
somewhere. But I'm bored with just pink.
because I'm cutting my hair next week.
Are you? What are you gonna do?
I'm doing that choppy bob, like
Oh,
the so I'm just like I haven't loved my hair for a long time, so I was like, why not?
that's hot.
Hmm. Hmm.
Probably can't say that. It's trademark of Paris Hilton. It's gonna look really good.
I'm excited.
Oh, I want to see pictures. I know I'm gonna get mine. I think I'm gonna get some layers trimmed in because I didn't realize I was looking in the mirror. I'm like, I don't have any, and like I have a lot of hair, so it's like heavy.
Yeah, I have a lot of hair too, and I think the problem is it's just like getting like stringy back there, you know?
Just like mine's fucking like look at this shit. Like what is this even? What's happening?
Just think about this, okay? Like swishy like this, and then just like
Oh,
messy.
oh,
Boom.
I can't even handle it. And then with your like, oh, all the vibes. I love it. You need like, you know, the kissy lips on your website?
Yeah,
Like those is like big earrings with your fucking
I
costly.
have some. Yeah. Okay. This is okay. Thank you for the
Feeling it,
therapy session. I feel so good right now.
right? Just had to like, I think the moral of like this whole conversation is just really aligning, like, do what you want, do what feels good, and just fucking just be whoever the fuck you want to be. Do whatever the fuck works for you.
And I love your podcast name. So if you're listening, it's like you're not part of the club, you know?
Yeah.
This is who you are now.
Yeah, this is it. Like you're just get to be weird, wacky, and wonderful. Fucking let's go. Own it. Own your shit. You're magical as
Ride it. We
fuck.
ride at dawn.
You ride it dawn. The magic hour. It's different than photography. It's a
Could we
dawn.
do like 11 a.m.?
You know, 11, yeah, like that's part of my scheduling shit. Because like anything before 11, it's a fucking chaos clusterfuck. Like I need to drop the kids off. I need
Yeah.
time for me to work out. Because that's been my big thing is I don't work out because I don't like fitting it in at the end of my day. And I don't like getting up at 4 o'clock to go work out, especially when it's cold, because I just struggle with my joint pain.
Well,
But
and
like 9 a.m. is prime for me. Like drop the kids off, go to the gym, get myself ready, and then 11, we're ready.
I know
Like
you don't
that's
have to
just
get up at 5 to be fucking successful and healthy, dude. And you don't have to
that,
do ice
yeah.
baths and all this shit, you know?
I remember like 5 a.m. club, 5 a.m. club. I don't mind getting up at 5:30 so I can have quiet to like sit and do my journaling and not have anyone need me for an hour. I like that. I like that. But when my
No,
kids are older, I probably won't get up at 5:30 a.m.
no, one of my themes in life is to set myself up for success always. So like I'm always like setting myself up for growth and setting myself up for the day. And like this morning, I don't know, I like felt normally I'm like ready to go and I was like I'll take my son to school and then go to the gym. My son comes in at 7:30 and he's like, "I'm late for school." He goes, "I thought you were at the gym and didn't know where you were." No, I was asleep in my room. I had no idea it was 7:30 in the morning. He was like so distraught. He's like, "Are you okay?"
I'll be fine. Just having a nap.
Yeah. It's like apparently I just was like dead.
Well, it's like last night. I guess I really needed the sleep because usually like I hear my kids breathe and I'm like awake, which is really annoying. But last night I went to bed and I did not wake up until it was like 10 to 6 when my alarm went off because I usually kind of lay there for 10 minutes.
Oh, I like to
And
stay there for a whole hour.
yeah, well, I forced myself to get up because if I don't, I can't have a shower alone and like poop alone.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
I
get
just
that with little kids. Yeah,
need that. So I was
yeah.
like, I literally lay there like I could just lay. I'm like, no, move now or shower with the door open and a 3-year-old. Like, get up. So I come downstairs and like went to wake Justin up at like 7:30. I'm like, why aren't you up? Like usually you're going to work by now. And he's just like, I was with Rourke. Like he was up at 4 a like till 4 a.m. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even hear him.
Oh, and you're just like living your best life.
I'm just like, oh, I had the best morning. Like the kids are all sleeping in. I had like almost an hour and a half to myself. Like, what's going on? Oh shit, you were up all night? Oh, no, sorry
That
about
happened
that.
to me like 2 nights ago. So I have a teen college age student. She's in college who lives at home, and I don't know. I was like 4 in the morning, and I was like, I could hear people, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? My
Like,
husband slept through all of it.
yeah, like, I don't want to be that mom, but I'm about to throw down because I'm awake and I don't want to be.
Oh, I was. I like was like, what in the fuck is going on?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm like, I can hear you. And the lights are on.
You want to live at home? I don't want to hear you. Not for
Well,
them.
you can do what you want, but like, don't bother me.
Just don't bug me. I love how our conversations always just like topic jump all over. I love it. I have a live today with somebody and she's like, what are you planning out? And I was like, I don't, like you invited me to this live. Like, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, dude, if you're no, 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 no. That's not how this works. It's
Like,
your live.
right? I'm like, she's like, well, yeah, what do you want to talk about? What are you selling? And I'm like, what?
I
What?
call that this circle jerk of like the podcast world. I know you're doing the live, but it's like they just come on, they talk about themselves, they talk about like their bio, they talk about, and then they like promote what they're selling, and they just go around and do it on all these different podcasts.
That's what made me not want to do a podcast because I was like, I don't want to do that. And then after like I met you and then I was listening to Tiffany and I'm like, okay, I have something I want to say. I want to create a community. But it's
Yeah.
weird because it's like one-sided because they listen to me, but then that's why I have like the group. But yeah, I just feel like there's no shame. Like I feel like there's shameless in selling and like I think everyone needs to show up shamelessly and sell themselves and what they're doing, but you also have to be a human
Yeah.
behind your business. Like I think that's like my biggest like soapbox right now is like I'm really big on building a brand. My brand didn't take off. Same with like your website. If you need to have a personal brand that embodies you in your business, you are your business. Too many people like have this separation or like they have their brand is like their stage persona and it's like but that still needs to be a version of you,
No, I agree. Yeah.
right? I could go on a fucking rant. It's
No,
not
I my whole business philosophy is always setting myself up for success. So one of the girls on my team was like, "Are you going to be cutting back?" And I was like, "No, because then I will be fucked." Like we're always setting ourselves up for success, you
yeah.
know?
So the moral of the story here, folks, stop saving the best parts of yourself for special occasions. Quit worrying about what you should be doing and just go out there and do you. That's how you're going to discover new ways to be yourself and honor your authenticity by actually creating kick-ass content that reflects your kick-ass life because you should be showing up as you are, who you are, in every wonderful way that you are. On that note, much love and many blessings. Until next time.